Cannabis stocks surged last week after the Drug Enforcement Agency agreed to review its classification.
It's been 11 years since Washington and Colorado legalized recreational cannabis, 27 years since California legalized medical cannabis, and they're still not able to go to Bank of America and have a savings account and get a loan.
We've got incredible efficiencies coming out of our 750,000 square foot facility in Florida. We have 130% in terms of our productivity in our stores vis-a-vis the average in the state.
Welcome back everyone to the Audacious Money Witch channel, where we talk about investing and trading and a lot of fun things. Why Trulieve stock is going parabolic now, up 90% year to date, outperforming the rest of the cannabis stocks. Holy smokers, this ain't no dang jokers. My Trulieve shares just went up a lot in January. Congrats on all my Trulieve fellow shareholders who are on this journey with me. I want to thank Trulieve CEO Kim Rivers and her team for the outstanding job that they are doing. Why this is just the beginning. Like I talked about the Trulieve stock at the beginning of the year, the stock has the real potential to 3x to 10x in the coming years for the reasons I am about to share with you. Your time is very valuable. I am going to give it to you straight. First, I am going to tell you the rise and fall of Trulief's business. Second, I am going to explain why Trulieve stock is outperforming the pack. The rest of the MSOS gang has only gone up 40% year to date. Why Trulieve crushed all of them with 2x the performance. Lastly, I am going to tell you why I believe this year could be the year where it all plays out for cannabis shareholders. Yay! As the CEO of Trulieve, Kim Rivers is arguably the most powerful woman in the cannabis industry. At the helm of one of the nation's largest vertically integrated cannabis multi-state operators, she leads a company that enjoys market-leading positions in Arizona, Pennsylvania, and its home state, Florida. But the optimism and economic conditions that fostered the growth of Trulieve and the cannabis industry aren't as they once were. With the stock price exceeding $15 per share in January 2022, tumbling to $4 only in 2 quarters later, and down from a peak of a little more than $50 per share in March 2021. Trulieve has some ground to make up with investors. Despite shifting the company's focus from certain markets, including California and Massachusetts, Rivers and her leadership team at the company are confident in their strategy for success, which includes leaning into key markets and taking a pass on some emerging markets such as New York. Trulieve's strategy for 2023, focused on generating and preserving cash, is prompted by market and economic forces that are affecting all cannabis companies. Rivers says the industry saw a decade of significant investment and growth that was capped up by the pandemic. With many consumers flush with stimulus dollars during mandated shutdowns, demand for entertainment and escape coupled with the heightened awareness of personal wellness prompted 25% quarter after quarter increases for Trulieve. But things began to change in 2022 after restrictions were lifted and people began to return to work and play. With stimulus checks a thing of the past and more options available to get out of the house and be entertained, consumers found places other than cannabis dispensaries and delivery services to spend their money. Additionally, the cannabis industry was not spared when pressures affecting the broader economy began to take hold last year. With consumer demand up and supply chain issues constricting materials needed to produce goods across a host of industries, prices started rising. Rivers says that a line that was drawn mid-year, where we saw a rapid change in pressure on consumer behavior, as inflation began taking a serious toll on household budgets, inevitably dispensary sales began to lag, and Trulieve's executive leadership team decided it was time to rethink the path ahead. Rivers' strategy for Trulieve is also predicated on political issues that have seen capital investment in cannabis largely dry up. The heady exuberance and optimism for cannabis reform and the industry that led to the company's $50 a share price in the first quarter of 2021 were fueled in part by the Democrats. Clean sweep in the November 2020 election, when the party found itself in control of the White House and both chambers of Congress. With newly elected President Joe Biden and many other Democrats making cannabis policy reform a key talking point of their campaigns, industry insiders and investors had high hopes for 2021 and beyond. But the party was short-lived. Before long, it became apparent that the federal government wasn't going to legalize cannabis anytime soon. Optimism for the big win, full legalization, was further dashed when the Republican Party regained control of the House of Representatives in 2022. A development that may have stalled significant progress on reform for years. Even the seemingly more attainable goal of passing the Safer Banking Act, a bill that would give cannabis business access to traditional banking services, has failed to come in fruition yet. Bogged down by debate over the scope of the legislation, including whether the bill should include provisions to address the harms caused by the war on drugs. Passing the cannabis banking bill during the current Congress is uncertain at best. As the lack of progress became evident, investment dollars flowing into the cannabis industry began to decline significantly. Because at the federal level, cannabis is not legalized. Wall Street banks can't pour money into cannabis stocks. Only retail investors can get in before the big boys. Companies can't even be listed on the NASDAQ. With new capital at a trickle and existing markets slowing, many companies were forced to reassess their plans for growth. At Trulieve, the leadership team realigned its plans. For Rivers, addressing the fundamentals of cash generation meant leaning into successful markets to keep sales in those markets strong. She knew the company needed to only know its customer base to keep them coming back during challenging times. I am really leaning into understanding what's the consumer doing. How does the consumer respond within our industry when there's more pressure on the wallet? When they're having to make choices, when eggs are more expensive. The second half of the overall strategy for leaner times, cash preservation would take more drastic steps. In June 2023, Trulieve announced that it was winding down operations in Massachusetts, a move that included the shuttering of 3 dispensaries in the state. Trulieve closed the Grover Beach dispensary in June, which saw them exit the challenging California market after closing Palm Springs and Venice the year before. These actions were taken to redirect resources towards markets with long-term growth potential where we have significant scale and depth, such as Arizona, Florida, and Pennsylvania, she said. When asked about the belt tightening, rather than trying to be in all markets or filling a map with our footprint, we're vigilant about driving forward with our strategy to build scale. Going deep in markets we chose, as well as cash generation and cash preservation. Rivers says that 2023 has been a challenging year for Trulieve and the cannabis industry at large. But she says that the business's strategy to generate and preserve cash gives its measuring stick by which to gauge its success during a year of cutbacks and layoffs throughout the sector. We said earlier on that our financial strength and operational flexibility have prepared our team to withstand the market compression we are seeing in 2023 and stand firm in this belief. Rivers said, right now we're controlling our controllables by continuing to set the standard for operational excellence, high quality cannabis products, and a differentiated customer experience. With that strategy in place, Rivers believes that Trulieve is well positioned for 2024 and beyond. We're at a little bit of a plateau right now, Rivers says. That doesn't mean that there's no growth ahead. What? Trulieve is going to grow, all right? Trulieve.com is now #1 in the cannabis websites in the United States, surpassing Curaleaf, with monthly 3 million visits in December, an average visit time of more than 5 minutes, as millions of patients and smokers are buying cannabis directly online. Why does Florida have the best Mary Jane market in the world? Think about Sin City, Miami. Think about Disney World in Orlando. Florida is the Sunshine State, where the ocean water is always warm. Smoke on the water, baby. The impacts of legalizing recreational cannabis in the Sunshine State, the state's largest medical cannabis producer. Trulieve says if that happens, the cannabis industry could triple in size in Florida. Trulieve already has the largest market share in Florida. Trulieve is bankrolling efforts to legalize cannabis in Florida. Simply put, a $2 billion industry that Trulieve thinks could be a $6 billion industry with adult legalization. So Trulieve CEO Kim Rivers spent $40 million to put recreational cannabis on 2024 ballot initiative to legalize cannabis in Florida. She's hopeful, if not optimistic, that it will happen. Kim, like the 1 million people who signed the petition, are waiting for the Florida Supreme Court. The court has until April 1st to make a ruling. If it does go on the ballot, 60% of voters will need to support it. There are many in the GOP majority against recreational cannabis, including Florida's governor, who said, if president, he would not decriminalize it. But as of last Sunday, Ron DeSantis officially dropped out of the presidential campaign. So I guess when the DeSantis hates cannabis and won't pass adult recreation in Florida narrative disappeared. Risk off for the Florida players' Trulieve stock. That's the reason why Trulieve stock is outperforming right now. Trulieve's market cap has gone up over $60 million from the start of the year. What? Why do I think this year is different? Well, let's zoom out on the chart and take a better look. Last time we had a major rally in cannabis stock was in 2020, an election year. Well, 2024 is another election year, with the DEA now considering rescheduling cannabis as 12 senators are calling on the DEA to fully legalize cannabis. Are we just getting started? Yes.